Hey there guys, and welcome back. Today I'm going to be answering a message that arrived in my inbox here on YouTube. Now, before continuing, I would like to say that if you are to leave me any questions in the comments, in private message here on YouTube, or on any of the forums I'm on, Reptile Forums UK, RF UK, Arachnophiles, or any of the others that I'm on, I will try to get back to you as soon as possible. Feel free to send me messages asking questions about the videos, about my spiders, about whatever. I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. Hopefully my answers can be of some help. Now, the topic of today's discussion is a rather controversial one. It's the idea of handling your tarantula. Now, there is an endless argument raging on whether this is right or wrong, if it's good or if it's bad, if it's worth it, not worth it. It gets quite exasperating to see these arguments spark up on the forums almost daily. But I'm not advocating handling. I'm not saying not to. I'm staying neutral on this one. I do handle mine. They're my own tarantulas. I believe I have the right to decide what I do with them. I don't feel that I endanger them. End of. However, here I'm giving information solely for the purposes of education. If someone wants to handle a tarantula and asks you how, and all you say is nope, don't do it, they'll still try, and they'll likely try in silly ways and end up injuring themselves or the spider, or both in the process. So, anyway, the message I got in my inbox reads as follows. Handling. Hey Phobia, you may know me from RF UK as AUJamie0208. I know many people disagree with handling tarantulas, but at some point you may need to. I was wondering if you could do a video on handling, focusing on how to pick up the tarantula, what to do if the tea shows aggression, and how to place the tea back without harming it. Cheers. AUJamie. Right, thanks Jamie for that, and here's your video. Right, the first method I'm going to show you is the hands-off approach. Hands-off approach is generally the safest method for both yourself and for the tarantula. And all you need is a pot, preferably one with a lid. This one does have a lid, it's off to the side later. And something to corral the spider with. All this gently involves is carefully prodding the tarantula in the general direction of the pot. And they'll usually go in, because it's similar to them going into their burrow. Then pop the lid on, and voila, one potted tarantula. This is my Aphanopelma aberrans, Casablanca chestnut. Absolutely gorgeous little spider. Molted a couple of times since we've got her. Now, the other part of the question was how to get them back out. Now, two ways. Either just pop it there, pop the lid back on, and leave them to do it themselves, or if you're a little bit braver, preferably with something that's nice and long, hooked helps. But very gently, just hook that round the back, gently guide. And there we go. She's back in the enclosure. Pop the lid on and leave her to it. And here we have my little girl, my Brachypelma smithii. Now my girlfriend got this one for my birthday back in January. She's absolutely gorgeous. She's very well behaved. I've never had a problem with handling her. I'll do so now. The basic idea behind this is just to get her onto your palm and carefully guide her and guide her and guide her. However, you must accept a couple of things with yourself before you do. 1. If the spider falls off your hand and plummets to its death, it is your fault. If the spider bites you, it is your fault. If the spider kicks hairs off onto your hands, it is your fault. If either you or the spider are injured, it is because you have chosen to handle your spider. I'm willing to accept this. So the first thing to do is make sure you're doing it on the ground. Any bid for freedom, any fall will likely not be lethal. The second bit to do is calm yourself down. If you're sitting there doing this, you're not going to be successful. You're going to scare the spider, probably kill it, if not at least severely injure it. next thing you do is you very carefully check their temperament. Now, she's normally fine. She gets a little jumpy at first. She's normally absolutely fine. So, brace yourself, calm yourself down. As long as she's not throwing up threat displays, she's not kicking, she's not doing anything horrific, just gently guide her towards your hand. If you've got a shallow enclosure, guide them up the side and onto your hand. If it's a deeper enclosure, well, I'll show you in a moment. Now, the ultimate thing you must remember at this point is to stay completely calm. If she bites me, it's my own fault. I've never been bitten by this one. She's never shown any need to, remotely, no chances of biting. But then again, neither did the Calcodis before she bit me. That was my own fault because I didn't check to see if she was eating before handling her. So she had food in her mouth, and as she dismounted my hand, as you'll see later, she started chewing and caught my finger. It's presumed that she could feel the pulse in my finger, and as she already had prey in her mouth, she assumed that it was still alive and began to chew. Now, there we go. Dismounting is nice and easy. You just place your hand in the enclosure and let her walk off. There is a third method of handling that some people will mention, and that's to take your index finger, your thumb, and your middle finger. Put it into this sort of clawed shape. You gently place the index finger just behind the eyes on the carapace, and pinch between legs 2 and 3 on either side, and then lift. Now, there are a few good reasons why I do not do this with my tarantulas. Firstly, when you go to pick them up like that, as you do so, it's very easy for them to get their feet caught on something and for you to rip a leg off. Secondly, the part between part of the prosoma there, where you're grabbing and pinching, isn't designed to take lateral crushing, and thus it's very easy for you to squeeze too hard and very seriously injure your tarantula. Thirdly, it's not a very secure hold at all. All it takes is for the tarantula to wriggle a little bit, and whoa, she's fallen from your hands, plummeted, severely injured, or died. Finally, I see no actual good reason for it. The only advantage you get is as you pick the tarantula up, you can look at the underside. Now, if you really want to view the fangs or the epigastric furrow or anything, hands-off approach, clear pot. Just look through the sides. 1,000,000 times safer and just as useful. The only part of the initial question that I haven't answered so far, I hope, is what to do if your tarantula starts throwing up signs of aggression. Now, if you're just talking about how do I move an aggressive tarantula, just one of these. Corral it in, keep your hands at a big distance, never free handle an aggressive tarantula, you're just going to get bitten. If on the other hand you're, as I assume, asking what do I do if while I'm holding my tarantula in my palm, it rears up? There's not really much you can do. When I said at the beginning of the video that if you choose to free handle your tarantula, you have to accept the risks, I meant it. If you free handle your tarantula and it decides to bite you, that's your fault for free handling.